Hey everyone, Christian Mitchell at Yoko Wood. Check out my new bandsaw. This is the Laguna 14BX bandsaw, and I was fortunate enough to receive one of these from Laguna. I've got it all set up. I've got the blade on, I've got the fence on, I've got the wheel kit on. So the first thing that I noticed upon receiving this bandsaw, putting the blade on and all the accessories, is that it looks cool. It's good matte black with contrasting gray. All of the hardware feels quality. Got some blue accent pieces here. And as you know, my shop is very trendy. So this fits in very well with the rest of my tools. If you follow me on Instagram, you would see one of my reels that says you don't need a pretty shop to make pretty things. But this is the outlier in the shop, as well as a couple other of the Laguna tools that I have. This sort of beautifies my shop. So first, let's talk about power and dust collection. This is a 220-volt version of the bandsaw. I wanted to get that just because I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of power when I was running white oak or walnut, some of the harder woods through this. I wanted to make sure that it didn't bog down and burn. The next thing is the dust collection, which there's a port here and here. Pretty standard for dust collection on a bandsaw. The one thing that I really like about this one though is that the dust collection comes out the side. My old bandsaw, the dust collection came out the front. It's not a big deal, but it can create a bit of an elbow here to try to get around back down to the dust collection itself. And depending on the size hose that you have, could obstruct if you've got the table here, and it just keeps this out of the way. You can see a little bit of dust here. That's because I dusted off the table itself. So that's not a reflection of the actual dust collection itself. And I'll show you the inside of the cabinet to see how clean that is in just a minute. Next, I want to talk about this foot brake. And there's a flywheel inside the cabinet that this brake engages with. I've never actually had a foot brake. It's really nice, and I can show it in action in a couple minutes, but it does slow down the blade pretty quick. And one additional accessory that I requested that really made a big difference for me is the integrated wheel system on the Laguna. So you've got two wheels in the front, one in the back. You lift it with the little lever back there and you can maneuver it around. It's sort of a big deal for me because my shop isn't the biggest. If I've got really long stock, 10 feet or more, I would need to move this just a little bit, and it would make a big difference in the amount of stock that I can run through this. So if we take a look here in the top cabinet, pretty standard lock and pretty standard system up here with the wheel, glides very nicely. Then we've got the tension guide here with the tensioner down here, another tensioner on the back. So since I was talking about the tension guide on the front of the bandsaw, here's the back of the bandsaw, and related to that tension guide is the tension release mechanism. This keeps tension off the blade so that it doesn't stress it while it's just sitting here. And then when you're ready to use the bandsaw again, you put that tension back on the blade. Another knob here, this is for tracking of the blade itself. To be honest with you, I did not adjust this. I had pretty good tracking right off the bat, so I did not mess with this. If you need to adjust, this connects directly to the top wheel and pulls it in and out. This knob is a lock for the up and down position on the guard. You've got the wheel to put the guides and guard up and down, and then once you lock this into place, you can no longer turn that wheel. Back at the front of the saw, you've got the wheel here to sort of micro adjust based on the size blade that you've got. So I've got a 3/4 inch blade. So I turn this until I get within that 3/4 inch range in the guide. I also feel, and it feels pretty good, so I know that this is set. So taking a look at the bottom cabinet here, we've got another cam lock, opening the door. Really clean, nice, very minimal dust here, as you can see. This, like again, I said, this came from the table. The bottom wheel with a flywheel. I don't know why, but for me, it just looks cool to have sort of a brake rotor here that the foot pedal grabs onto. Pretty standard otherwise. You've got a belt, you've got the clean, the brush here, and then you've got handles under here that adjust the table at an angle, whatever angle you need. There's guides under the table that show you what angle you're at. So really the biggest deal and the biggest takeaway for me on this bottom cabinet is the brake. I never had a brake before. It's really nice. Just ups the safety of this bandsaw. Getting that blade stopped quicker is always a good thing. Okay, back to the blade itself and the areas surrounding the blade. This bandsaw has ceramic guides. Now I'm not sure how that performs in the long run. I haven't had this tool long enough to really test the longevity of these ceramic guides, but time will tell. So far they've been working great. Otherwise, there are a number of knobs here to adjust these guides every way to Sunday. It's really nice. You can get it as close as you need to the blade for adequate support back and forth and sort of side to side. So moving on to the fence system. This is actually not the fence that comes with the bandsaw. This is an additional accessory. This is the Laguna Driftmaster DX3. And as you can see, this thing has a lot of knobs, handles, and ways to adjust it, which for me is good, but it also creates a little bit of anxiety for myself because I'm always worried that one of these are going to come loose and something's going to be out of whack. So every time I use this bandsaw, I check square and check to make sure that it's dialed in. Let me give you a quick rundown of all of these handles and knobs. So obviously this is the back and forth micro adjustment, as you would call it. And this just moves it back and forth. You've got this red handle here, sort of an emergency move, if you will. You take this cam lock, loosen, and then you can move it back and forth sort of like this. I think when you're going from one size stock to the next really quickly, doing this is probably beneficial. I would probably just keep this locked most of the time and use the micro adjustment. The next thing is this handle right here, and I keep this unlocked a lot of times, and obviously I want to probably lock it when I put the stock through it. This holds the fence in place, so you can't turn this, and if you undo this basically just has a screw with a little pad that locks it down into the fence itself. The next knob is this knob right here. That adjusts the angle at which the fence is facing or turned so that you get consistent thicknesses. I set this when I first got the bandsaw on the fence and I have not moved it. That's something that you do not want to move unless something catastrophic happens and you need to recalibrate the fence to the blade. These two knobs back here adjust the fence if you would want to move it in or out. Again, I don't really mess with these. And then these two, I don't move these either. These lock the fence down so that it's in place where you need it. The other thing that I like about this fence in comparison to the original fence that comes with the bandsaw is that it's got a much larger face here for more support with thicker stock. Okay, a quick look under the bandsaw reveals this little thing here that I'm not sure is needed, and I'm not sure what the purpose of it is. I know that I need to take it out every time I do a blade change because it obviously blocks the throat that the blade goes into. But other than that, I mean, I don't really know why you would need to close this off. Maybe somebody can enlighten me. You've got two handles here to adjust the angle of the bed itself, and then pretty much a mirror image or a copy of the top guides here under the table. Then you've got a little plate here. I'm not really sure the exact benefit to this plate other than that it just covers this up and makes it a little bit cleaner. You can basically put this here, and then I guess maybe it creates more suction or keeps the suction in the machine for the dust collection. And then obviously if you tried to open this, it would hit here. So I just keep it down. That way when I open it, it just clears everything there. So now that I've given you a rundown of the saw and all its features, let's take some white oak, run it through, and see what the thickness is, how smooth it is. We're going to take this piece of white oak, run it through, and then take the calipers and see how close it is from side to side in the variance of thickness. Okay, so here's the board fresh off the bandsaw. As you can see, I used this planed surface, perfectly flat, right up against that fence to get a good reference plane. And then here is the surface of the sawn white oak that I've got. Obviously, on the bandsaw, it's going to have a little bit of ridge to it. It's not going to be perfectly flat, but man, this is about as good as it gets. So I'm going to check the thickness of this. One side, we've got 3,225 roughly, and the other side about 3,265. So that is more than good enough for me because I'm going to actually take this face, put it again back down on the planer, and then I will plane this side to be perfectly flat and the same thickness throughout. So that's it. Here's my beautiful piece of resawn white oak. A lot of bandsaws would have problems getting through this and through it accurately, but with the 220 motor, I think it really makes a big difference slicing through this easily and accurately. So this is the Laguna 14BX. I'm Christian Mitchell at Yoko Wood. Also follow me on Instagram, and I will see you on the next one.